Hi, ladies and gents. You have been sending in some fantastic questions about money. So I thought I'd try to answer a few of the most common questions that we're getting on the podcast. So first up, how much should I be saving each month? Okay, so there's actually no set amount that I would say you have to put away. But one of the things I spoke to a colleague about recently who was interested in investing in property, had no savings and was living from hand to mouth. My advice to him was, look, why don't you try just to save 10% of whatever it is that you have coming in every month? Just try and make the cut of 10%. I don't know how much he earns. I didn't ask that question. I know it's not a lot based on his job, but I said, just trying to put 10% away. That's your main target. But even if you put 5% away in the first month, the second month, the third month, good for you. Don't beat yourself up about it. My standard advice is try to save 10%, but you want to use that money and start building assets with it as soon as possible. And remember, an asset is also self-improvement. It's building skills that you can sell to other people for more money. So he's working in a job for 37 hours a week. But I said to him, what are you actually interested in? He said, I really like photography. I said, great. So you're working 37 hours. Do you work weekends? He said, no, I get every Saturday and Sunday off. He works for the local authority. I said, right, okay. So if you got every Saturday and Sunday off, why don't you start learning how to do photography, invest in a camera, and then start doing some wedding photography or some portrait photography for business owners? I said, oh, I never thought of that. A camera, a decent camera these days, you can get not necessarily a professional photo shoot camera, but you can get a really decent camera for about £200. So if he's getting, I don't know, £1,400 a month in his net income, that's £140. In 3 months, he's got enough to buy a camera. So it's only going to take 12 weeks to save up to buy a piece of equipment that can then make him money. He can do the online photography courses for free on Udemy and Allison.com. So that's costing zero. And then he can go out and start practicing. Get his friends and family involved. Can I take some pictures of you? I just want to set this new thing up. That's going to cost him zero. He could even speak to local people that he knows who've got business and say, look, would you mind? I want to do some free photography for you, some promotional work on your plumbing business, your electrical business, whatever it is that they have. And he can start doing that for free. And then when people say, oh, God, who did your photographs? They're great. So, oh, go and give, let's call him John. Let's go give John a call. He's absolutely fantastic. That is how you can start building your wealth, not just from saving money, but actually start using it on the offensive rather than defense. Because remember what they say, the best defense is a good offense. Okay, another great question coming in. Is it too late? Too late? Is it too late to start investing in my 30s or 40s? Well, absolutely not is the honest answer to this. I started investing in properties and business assets in 2022. I bought my first investment property in December 2022, and I bought my first acquisition business in January 2023. So that would have made me 40 years old. Actually, it would have been 39 when I bought my first property and I was 40 when I bought my first acquisition business. So now we have a net worth with our combined businesses and assets of around 18 million as of 2025. So that was starting age 39. There is absolutely no better time for you to start investing and start building your financial wealth than today. Don't get me wrong, if you'd have started 10 years ago, it would have been better, but we can't erase the past. Today is the best time to do it. So my advice is, if you're thinking about investing in yourself, investing in growing your assets and your income, start straight away. Do not let age become your barrier. There are 18-year-olds right now who are generating 40, 50, 60,000 pounds a month from property, from doing what we call rent to serviced accommodation. So I was speaking to a 15-year-old lad in Manchester not too long ago, and he started his rent to SA business, rent to serviced accommodation business, when he was age 15, and he had to get his mum to sign the paperwork, and he got a hotel, and he rented a hotel from a landlord who owned the hotel, and he turned that into a rent to serviced accommodation hotel and made 20 grand a month from it, and he was 15. So it's possible. That's the point here. So don't let your age define what you're allowed to invest in or not invest in. You have got so much choice right now in this particular time of our existence in the 2020s. Stop! Before you go any further, if you're enjoying this content, remember to give us a subscribe, a like, a follow, or a share. Every single person that clicks on those buttons, it means the world to us because it helps us reach more people and get people educated in how to get wealth the lazy way. Great question, this one. How do I avoid getting scammed? Well, take it from somebody who has, in fact, been scammed more than once. It's not always avoidable. So what I mean by that is you can have a series of due diligence checks that you carry out, but there is always somebody else who's going to be more sophisticated than you, who's going to understand the checks and learn how to bypass them or sidestep those checks. The greatest example of this, which is easy to spot now, is builders. So very often, if you are doing a residential build project, let's say you want a kitchen extension or a conservatory building in your own personal property, and you get a builder comes up and says, right, I need 30% deposit up front, and I also need another 10 grand to pay for materials. That should be a red flag immediately, because if a builder doesn't have a trade account with 30-day terms with suppliers, you need to be asking why that is. Now, it could be for a legitimate reason. They've just started out on their own. They've broken away from, whoever they used to work for. But I would probably tread with extreme caution here, because although I'm happy to pay builders a certain amount in advance, usually, 10% of the project, I'm quite happy to put that in so that they can get going, get materials and so on. I wouldn't be looking at giving them a 30% deposit, but I would be looking at regular terms payments, so that every week, if they've done work, I'll be like, right, okay, yes, I can see that you've put the footings in, I can see that you've got the concrete poured in, yes, now we'll activate another payment for you so that you can pay the suppliers. So that's like one example of a scam. Another person who I'm actually going to name because he was prosecuted and criminally convicted of fraud, his name is David Hugo Hargreaves. And he had this scam where he said, we will help you buy care home businesses, we'll bunch them all together, and then we'll sell them at a leveraged additional profit. But what it turns out is David had no experience in doing this at all. It was a theory that somebody else had. And what he'd done is he said, I've got all of these people on my board who were very reputable people within the care industry, by the way. And he said, right, okay, we need 10 grand off you to give you your exclusive area. And I'm going to give you all of this help to put you into touch with the right people to get you access to the finance that we're going to need and all the rest of it. And he basically gave me a 25-page book that was filled with absolutely the most basic information I've ever seen in my life. And it cost me 10 grand. So he did that not only to me, he did that to a range of other people as well. So if you ever see a chap called David Hugo Hargreaves, I would strongly recommend avoiding him. It's Synergy Accountants based in Jersey. I would strongly recommend avoiding David Hugo Hargreaves. David, if you're out there, you were convicted of fraud. If anybody is Googling this, I hope you find him. He goes by lots of other names, David Fitzpatrick, David Hargreaves. He changes his name and his LinkedIn profile very regularly. So how do I avoid getting scammed? You've got to put your due diligence in. Doing your checks, check them out on Companies House, check they've got legitimate insurance, check that they've got social media presence, check reviews, ask to speak to customers if that's possible. For GDPR compliance, they might not be able to. but as to speak to customers, go and see other projects that they might have built. Speak to happy clients of theirs who will be able to say, yeah, actually, they were great. These are the sorts of things I would expect. If it's in the building, ask to see proof of any qualifications, ask to see any workmanship that they've done. Go and visit those building sites. If it's other clients, say like a service-led business, speak to customers, check out the reviews, meet them in person is really important. And for the love of all that is good, do not send anybody money over the internet until you have at least done some of this due diligence first. So that is my advice for how to avoid scams.